Hello, you're very welcome back to you're very welcome back to the Under Center podcast. This is AFI Weekly. Dara here with you. Delighted to be joined by Alex and Reen this evening. Boys, how are we? Alex is gone, so he must not be doing that well. Reen,
I'm
how are
pretty good
you?
though. Yeah, I'm pretty good. We had some interesting action over the weekend, some interesting scorelines, plenty of games to talk about. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to getting into it.
an interesting start to the show as well, with already one person dropping out. Is that a an ode to somebody else walking out at the weekend? I don't know, but hey, listen. We have ton. I know we missed last week. Tons of action happened last week as well. We probably won't get a chance to really talk about that. We'll focus mainly on last weekend and look ahead to this weekend. We had a load of games. We had 5 games in total last weekend to speak about: 3 in the Premier Division and 2 in Division 1. And Alex is back here with us. Alex, can you hear us?
I can indeed. Can you hear me?
I can. You are live on YouTube. Please do all the swearing you want.
Thank fuck.
How are you doing?
All good, mate. All good.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Like I said, we have a number of games to cover from last week, and we are going to start off. Since we have 2 Division 1 guys, let's start with the Division 1 games. We'll start with the clash between the Kildare Crusaders and the Loud Mavericks. Of course, the Mavericks coming out on top by 21 points to 14, despite a lightning delay at the start of the game. There was a rushing touchdowns for Dan Finley and quarterback Nathan Hardy. Nathan also threw a touchdown to Oisin Finn. For the Crusaders, there was 2 passing touchdowns in the game. One to Wello and the other one to Philip Tierney, both from quarterback Jordan Farrell. But Alex, a really good win in a really tough place to go to in Newbridge and play. And despite the terrible luck you've had the last few weeks, including the forfeited game against the Vipers last minute, which we didn't get to speak about, obviously, because we weren't on the air last week. It's good to get out there and play some decent football and come out there with a very important win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was looking at that sky Sunday as the Thunder started about 15 minutes before kickoff and just thought, oh, not again. I really thought it was going to be, yeah, to see Owen's comment there, bringing the Thunder. Yeah, I really thought we were going to have another situation where we were not going to get a game, and it was breaking our hearts. But it wasn't too bad. I think there was another. It was grand. Cleared up, rained on us, quite heavy. About 10 minutes before kickoff, cleared up, got started. I think we got about 3 plays. We got the ball to start, so with 3 plays into it, and then there was another massive flash and big crack, and it was a lot closer than the first one. So we all had to abandon ship for the half an hour and just keep warm and try keep sane. And yeah, eventually we got back into it and came away with the win. It was a good game, well fought. I mean, the Crusaders are a tough team. I think we always play close games. I think they seem to play exclusively close games. So anyway, but we did well. I think keeping their defense or keeping their offense off the field a good bit. The Wello was really good, running really well. I think he took his first touch of the ball. I think he took 60 yards to the house. Really quality player there. But we managed to get on top of things and sort of shut that down to a degree. He did get hurt in the third quarter, so he didn't even get to finish the game out, which probably hindered them a little bit in their attempts to come back at us in the fourth quarter. But yeah, really competitive game. Like, those guys are really good. I think it's going to be really tough on them if they miss out in the playoffs, because I think they're a playoff quality team, but they've just, between one thing and another, had horrible luck, and they've already got 4 losses on the card, and it's hard to see them getting in now, depending on how other things go. Obviously, it's football, anything can happen, but I think unfortunately for them, they might play in the Shield though. At least still they have the Shield. Like all praise to the Shield.
To the sheep.
So at least they'll still have some postseason football, I think, no matter what. But yeah, good game, good bunch of lads down there. So had a good time.
Yeah, it is tough on the Crusaders. I'm just doing the quick maths, and if I am right with the score lines, I think I am. Their 4 defeats this season have all been by a combined 17 points, which is just really tough on them as well. 7-point loss Sunday, a 1-point loss against the Eagles, a 2-point loss against the Rhinos. And I think it was a 7-point loss up in Craigavon against the Cowboys. I think it finished 20-13. I think that was.
It was 8. They definitely didn't finish 13 because, as we know, the Crusaders don't kick.
Oh yeah. Well, then what was it?
20-12, I think, wasn't it?
20-12. Well, then 18 points. 18 points. Then. We'll see. Look, that not kicking, it could be coming back to bite them now, especially for that Wexford game. That's a loss that could have turned into a win. And I'm still going to beat the drum. And I've talked to a few guys in UCD about it and how they've explained to me why they don't kick. I still think it's a good idea to keep a kicker trained if you need it in situations like that. Not for extra points. Okay, you don't want to do an extra points, that's fine. But if you're in a position to kick a field goal, I think you should take the point sometime. But anyway, listen, I'm not going to keep dragging on that because I'm going to sound spiteful then. Rain, like I said, a tough day for the Crusaders, and now the way the table is working out, they can't finish above the Cowboys, they can't finish above the Mavericks. If the Giants beat the Jets next week, then they can't finish above the Giants either. So that means they're fighting for one playoff spot. And with only 2 games left in their schedule, and the majority of teams having 3 games too. One of those games I should mention as well is going to be against the Giants. It is tough to see a route for them getting into the playoffs without getting a lot of help around them.
Yeah, I mean, particularly with the Eagles sitting there as well, they'll have the head-to-head on the Crusaders. It will be very, very tough for them going in. Now, as you said yourself, it's football. Anything can happen. Mathematically, they're in with a shot, so they're going to need to keep the mindset that they're going to be one of the ones qualifying for that playoff. But I mean, at the end of the day, worst comes to the worst, they will be involved in the Shield, and they'll probably be heavily favourite to win that. So yeah, I don't think, even if it doesn't work out, it has been a pretty stacked Division 1 this season. So if it doesn't work out for the Crusaders, I think they can hold their heads up and realize that it hasn't been a total waste of a season. Like you said, they've lost all their games by a combined 18 points. That's practically nothing. It's a score in every game, basically. So yeah, there are positives to be gleaned from this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the Maverick side, like I said, another game towards securing home field advantage in the playoffs, which is going to be so vital when it comes to fighting for promotion. And Alex, obviously the goal was promotion at the start of the year. Disappointment in terms of maybe not as actually getting to physically play as many games as you should have at this point of the season, and obviously that close disappointing defeat in the second game against the Cowboys. But you guys are still on track for what you want to do this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, with the 2 forfeits, it kind of has been a bit stop-start, which I think has definitely been more of a bad thing than a good thing. But we've played the Cowboys close twice, a tie and a 4-point loss. So we're confident. We're just gotta take these next 2 games, these last 2 games against the Razorbacks and your good selves, Dara. We got to take them on in June and just make sure we've done enough to get that number 2 spot, because or take advantage of any slip ups that the Cowboys might have. Now they'd have to have 2. It's unlikely, I'd admit, but you got to be there. And we've obviously not going to have a game against the Giants, so we're not going to have an opportunity to have a head-to-head victory over them for the standings. So we got to just put these games away and make sure that we're there in the 2 spot, and the Giants are having to come down to us. And like the trip up to Armagh is rough. Don't want to face that. Don't want to drive down to Wexford again either, or even Dublin. I don't want to go to. Definitely want to host that other semi-final. So yeah, we'll be doing all we can to get there.
Yeah, and should mention as well. Sorry, we talked a lot about the offense. On the defensive side of things, should also shout out Ushing Finn and your brother as well, Brendan, having 2 interceptions each on the day too. So a fantastic day for the defensive backfield as well. And it's interesting you mentioned there about not having a game against the Giants, and this is where the forfeits kind of go a little bit against you, where you would kind of back yourselves to score more than 30 points against the Jets and the Vipers. Whereas now the Giants get 2 games against the Jets, and they can rack up a score then. And if it is a case where you finish level on points, this is where the points difference is going to come into things, and this is where you might feel a little hard done by.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's all swings and roundabouts. So I think it'll all even out in the end. The Giants had that game there at the end at halftime. So there's no perfect season. It's not like the 30-point. You can't start giving 50-point victories for forfeits. Other teams will start sabotaging other teams or something. I'm fairly laid back. Take it all as it comes. We'll just make sure to do the business on the field.
I want some anger out of you.
We'll leave the spreadsheets. We'll leave the spreadsheets and the league tables up to you, Dara.
Hey, I'd say I must be doing something right. I didn't get any comments this week about the league table. So either they like the new design or I've done everything right and I get the table correct. So I'm okay. Long may that continue. So next up for both teams, like I mentioned, I have them here beside me. If the page wants to open for me, it doesn't want to. Alex, you can tell me who you guys have next.
Yeah, we have a week off now this weekend, and we're up to Belfast to play the Razorbacks on the 9th.
You are up, and then on the following week, on the 16th, the Crusaders are up in Armagh to take on the Giants. So that's going to be a really, really big game when it comes to seedings and stuff for the playoffs for sure. Moving on then to the second game in Division 1. That was, of course, the Antrim Jets 6, the Dublin Rhinos 53. A fantastic day on all sides of the ball for the Rhinos. I have the list of scorers here. Hold on, because we had
a cup of tea. Sorry, let's.
Yeah, just relax there for a second. I just have them all here. I swear I'm prepared now for this one. So let me just see here. Where is that? Here we go. So there was 4 offensive touchdowns, 1 kickoff return, and 3 defensive touchdowns. The scorers. Now, hold on. Keep making that tea there, Alex. I just have to get all the list of scorers here now for this. So, Craig Usher had 2 rushing touchdowns. Quarterback Ethan Foster had 1 rushing touchdown of his own. David Wright caught a touchdown from that backup QB, David Rubiela. I'm very sorry. I can't pronounce names tonight. I'm very, very sorry. Keith Ashton got a kickoff return right at the start of the second half. Then on the defensive side of things, Fernando Canete got a fumble recovery for a touchdown. We have Ryan Doherty had a pick 6 and 2 other interceptions on the day. And Padraig Lawler capitalized on another fumble in the end zone to pick up another defensive touchdown. Like I said, a fantastic day for the Rhinos, a day that the offense needed, especially to get things rolling. Obviously, a lot has been said about the lack of points that the Rhinos have been scoring in the last little while. So this game was especially needed to get that confidence flowing in the offense, which is exactly what he did. Our first offensive play of the game went in for a touchdown, and we were very accomplished in moving the ball up and down the field when we needed to. The defense continued to be a stalwart, not only stopping the Jets when they did, getting points on their own end too. And obviously, it's great to have a special teams touchdown as well to remember all 3 sides of the ball. But lads, like I said, it is after the tough start, and then I said the first 3 games are always going to be the toughest part of the year. for us with those back-to-back Crusaders and then the Cowboys. We go to Causeway, we make sure we get the win. Okay, people might have looked at the score and raised their eyebrows, but like we've seen with the Giants, they performed very well this year. You can see you can see the table right there on the screen. Getting a win up there in Armoy is not what a lot of teams are going to do this year. And then going there to the Jets, capitalizing on the Jets' misfortunes with players and what's going on in the club. You still have to go out there and perform on the day, and we're absolutely delighted that we did. We have to continue that on again now this week when we're at home. We still haven't won a game at home this year, so we have to make sure we get that sort of monkey off the back. But I don't know, lads, if there's any questions you have about the game or anything you want to find out. I'm all ears and I'll try my best to answer.
Well, I just think it's interesting that as soon as the Rhinos started scoring points, Fionn disappears. So don't know what's up with that. But from my perspective, just one little comment as opposed to a question. It is really important when the offense gets someone to keep that momentum going. This is the type of game that can really set up the rest of the season very well for that Rhinos offense. There's confidence all around. It's got to really bolster the team moving into weeks to come.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about peaking at the right time, isn't it? And that late June or late May into June is a good time to be peaking for that playoff push. Did you see any play in other positions other than guard on the fields, Dara? Were you trying it? Were you trying out wide receiver or anything? No.
No, I wasn't. I put my hand up for a running back, but that was quickly taken away from me because I have to be able to run to do that, so I can't do that. So no, guard was all I played, and very happy with that. I should mention as well. So a shout out to the Jets lads. It's a tough season, and you feel bad for them because the lads are just going out there and they want to play football because they love playing football. There was no ill will, no nothing, no sort of spiky atmosphere or anything in the game. At the end of the game, we all shook hands and everyone was great, really sound about it. And hopefully now, with the not even reported, it's kind of confirmed turmoil with other clubs as well. Hopefully they can be the beneficiary of a few players coming their way to help them keep going because they have a great setup, especially in the Forum with that pitch. I always love playing up there. It's a fantastic pitch, and they've done some good things over the last few years. Hopefully they can get back to that and sort of, start making headway again in Division 1.
That's it. The importance of finishing out the season is massive there. Finish out the season, get into the off season and just rebuild off the field. It's, as you say, a massive point for them.
Yeah, that's it. So we'll move on then. That is Division 1 wrapped up. As you can see the table there, if you're listening to us on podcast, at the moment it's the Cowboys on top with 11 points, Mavericks second with 9, the Giants are third with 7, the Eagles are on 6 points in fourth spot. The Rhinos also have 6 points, so they are in fifth spot as because of their points difference. The Crusaders are down in fourth, have 4 points. They're the next team. Then we have the Razorbacks on 2, the Vipers on 1, and the Jets on -2, obviously because of their forfeit against the Mavericks earlier on this year. We'll have a look at the solitary game in Division 1 this weekend a little later on, but let's move on to the Premier Division. We'll chat about Saturday's games first. Let's have a talk about the Rebels and the Admirals. Rebels 22, Admirals 8. Rebels again continue their winning ways after, of course, their defeat in week 1, beating a Admirals team that I believe only had 19 down with them on the day. So a very valiant effort from the Admirals. Ty Henry had 2 passing touchdowns, one to Craig and one to Dan Johnson. Craig Johnson had a rushing touchdown of his own as well in the score. The Admirals had a defensive touchdown. I don't have, unfortunately, the player's name here. Do I have it here? Let me just have a quick look. I swear I do prep from this. Joseph Bamadele had a pick 6 for the Admirals, but Looking at the table here now, we can see the Admirals are in 5th spot on 3 points. They are going to start getting wins together if they're going to get that last. You probably think it's only 1 spot left for the playoffs. But, lads, if you're the Admirals, you're only going up to Dublin with 19. You're putting in a good start. You're not blown out by the Rebels. You keep with them for the majority of it. Maybe you would have liked to have gotten some more offensive success in terms of scoring, but what are your thoughts on the Admirals out of this game?
I mean, they're still got that young QB under center, Jake Kennedy. He's still in his first full season in the QB role. So coming up against that Rebels defense is a tough ask for a 10-year veteran, let alone a guy in his first year under control of the offense. So I mean, only conceding 22 points, that's pretty good. So and getting the pick 6. The Admirals defense is always well coached and well drilled. So good to see them execute there. Yeah, they didn't get probably anything going offensively. I don't know if they got close at all, but it was obviously a struggle to move the ball for them. But that's going to happen. You're going to have those sort of games in a young QB's career. So they just have to take that. They probably weren't going up to Dublin expecting to pull off a big win here. So I think you can be pleased with your output on the day, and you've got way more important games to focus on these next 3 matches, I think, including a trip up to Belfast where they can overturn the head-to-head result that's against them at the minute, and that I think that match will probably seal the fate of that 4 spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And their other fixtures include obviously the Knights this weekend, as you can see on screen. They also have a home game against the Panthers too. So, you would realistically, if you want to be getting into that playoff position, they're gonna have to probably win 2 of their last 3, I'd imagine. What do you think, Green?
I'd say they definitely have to, because the Trojans sitting there on 2-3-1. One win just won't do it for them because of the head-to-head there. So yeah, the Admirals really need to start winning. I think that comes down to the offensive side of the football. They haven't really put up the points that they probably should have to date. Now, like Alex said, Jay Kennedy in his first season under center there, it is a tough ask. But at this point in the season, 5 games in, this is when winning really needs to start happening. So they're not out of contention by any means. I mean, they could go to the Knights of the weekend, beat them, get a bit of a roll going. But they definitely do need to win 2 of the last 3 to even have an opportunity of going into this one, going into the playoffs at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. On the Rebel side of things, like I said, they continue to win, to keep pressure on UCD and the Panthers to try and fight for that last, or to fight for one of those 2 home field games in the playoffs. They have some huge games coming up in terms of the rematch against UCD. They're going to have to win that, obviously, to get the head-to-head. And also, obviously, this weekend, playing against the Panthers too. So some huge games coming up for the Rebels, especially just for the top of the table in the Premier Division in general, to see where these placings are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, they're like the Terminator. They just don't stop coming. Like they take shots. They had, the week 1 defeat, the UCD, keep going. Ty getting injured, keep coming. They're somewhat inevitable. I think the Rebels. This weekend sets up to be a massive one. I know we'll probably look ahead to it later, but I mean, you can't really look past them in any game. They're going to be there. They're going to keep it close, and once they're in the postseason, all bets are off. Like they could beat anyone on their day. And Ty Henry could be on 1 leg, 2 legs in a wheelchair, and I'd still give them a decent shot of coming through.
I'm sure the protection be that good. Probably he could actually sit in the wheelchair and probably still ping a 50-yard ball to one of the Johnson brothers on a go route. Absolutely no bother to him. Yeah, next up, like we mentioned, both teams are in action this weekend. Panthers, Rebels, Admirals, Knights. We'll speak about a little more of them in a little bit. Let's talk about the other game that happened on Sunday. The Belfast Trojans 10, UCD 16. And the Trojans started like a house on fire. Coming out of traps with some really impressive drives against that UCD defense. Dom Lynn hitting Zach Trainer for a touchdown and also having a field goal as well. The UCD took a little bit of time to warm up offensively, but Aaron Mooney hit Tom Donovan twice in the end zone to get the UCD touchdowns. Fascinating towards the end of the game, especially in the fourth quarter. Two offensive series from the Trojans basically on the UCD goal line. The goal line defense from UCD absolutely astounding, keeping them out almost for all four downs on each drive. Fantastic from the UCD defense. And in a season, if not even a season, in a game like this, where the offense isn't firing as well as they normally do, it's just brilliant that the defense can come into it and then take the load off for the offense in this game and say, we'll put the game on our back for this and come out of Belfast, a very difficult place to get a result with a really, really important win.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of people maybe throughout the league will be looking at this result with raised eyebrows. Why was it as close as it was? But for me, it actually solidifies to me that UCD are once again have a kind of championship team built in amongst the students there. Basically, as you said yourself, the defensive side of the ball today this week was exceptional, and that to me proves that they are like championship ready. So we already know that Aaron Mooney and Tom Donovan and all the boys there on that offensive side of the ball can take apart pretty much any team in the country, including the unstoppable Rebels. So for me, this one really just showed us that the defense is well capable of hanging with the best as well. So yeah, I'm looking at this victory as another feather in the cap of UCD.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, Rian, when your offense has an off day, you need your defense to be there to have their back, and they clearly did on Saturday. It seemed to be like a fantastic occasion. It was an evening kickoff, all the bells and whistles that the Trojans game day provides. So it looked like a fantastic event as well. Definitely one to check out in the future if you're up there for a game. It is a great atmosphere, them games. And it's a tough atmosphere to go into. Like those UCD players, like there was proper fans like cheering for Everton. The Trojans, I think they got a strip late in the game to set up that second set of fourth and goal plays, and the crowd by all accounts was raucous. So to stand up there in that environment as well, just again gives them just more kudos.
Absolutely. And like I said, the Trojans there are now sitting at 2-3-1 on 5 points, occupying currently that last playoff spot. They still have 2 home games left against Cork and against the Minotaurs. Win both games, they are going to be guaranteed that fourth spot. But any slip ups, the Knights are going to be lurking, and the Admirals, especially if they can get up to Belfast and win, they're going to be looking at that too. It has been a sort of difficult run for the Trojans since their opening 2 weeks. They went 2 defeats in a row, and they had that draw against the Knights where they had to come back from behind to just salvage the draw, and then this defeat. You mentioned that, Alex, it could be the case for the Trojans, as like you're saying it was for the Rhinos. Peaking at the right time is going to be vital here. They're warming up. The passing game got going at the weekend. They passed. Dom was passing the ball very well. The defense picked off Aaron Mooney at least once, technically twice, but the second one wasn't an interception. It actually hit the ground, and the ref somehow gave an interception. Both teams were confused by it. They said, crazy, unbelievable. That it was actually given as an interception, but it wasn't. But especially with a trip to Dublin, the likely case for whoever finishes fourth, the Trojans are going to have to make the most of probably their last 2 home games of the season to secure that playoff spot.
Yeah, and they've already played UCD, so if it is UCD that they're traveling to, they've already played them close. They can take some confidence in that sort of fact. That they've shown that they can do it. They can make it tight there again. 2 more yards on one of those plays, and they're in the end zone, and they could be kicking an extra point to win that game and get a huge upset win. So that would stand to them if it is UCD or anyone that they're going to. That they have put it up to some teams. As you said, they've got to finish now. Hugely important games. Welcoming both the Admirals and the Minotaurs up there. They've got to win those games and probably look good doing it, to give them that extra bit of confidence that, obviously sort of a moral victory or whatever you can call Saturday losing the UCD. That's great, but it doesn't stand to you as much as a win does, and a good win. So get two good wins in June now, and they'll be in good standing in July, and they'll be ready to take on whoever it is that ends up in the one spot. So yeah, I think that'll be it for them.
Ray, anything to add more on this game, or are you happy enough to move on?
Yeah, I mean, just quickly, my own personal mindset, if I was the Trojans, would be, and maybe this is a little bit contrary to what Alex said, is just make the playoffs. Just make the playoffs. Doesn't matter how you get in, just get in. And then it becomes knockout football any given Sunday. You've already shown that you can do it against UCD. So I think, their goal should be make the playoffs at all costs.
Oh, don't worry. The Trojans will get in, as they proved last year. Even if the table says they're not in,
lawyers in the business.
they'll get in.
They know it. That's what it is. They know it. Okay, let's move on then to Sunday's game. A huge relegation 6-pointer at the bottom of the Premier Division. The Westmeath Minotaurs 14, the UL Vikings 28. The Vikings had their couple of weeks break for exams and stuff, and after their absolutely horrible run to start the season, facing all the top teams, they go down to Mullingar and show that there was no ring rust at all. They got into it straight away and come out with a very important win on the Minotaur side of things. Very, very tough now to see where the other wins are going to come from to sort of stay afloat this year. Just quickly on the scores in this one, Finn O'Donovan was fantastic on the ground. He had 2 rushing touchdowns of his own, as well as a pass to Aaron O'Hanlon. Brian Lenihan also rushed in for a touchdown of his own. On the Minotaur side of things, Alan Campbell and Sean Dalton had their scores both thrown to them by, of course, Joe Kinahan. We chatted about it in our last time we were on air. We were looking ahead to the Panthers and Minotaurs game itself, and we were talking about the new jerseys. Maybe that will inspire a bit of luck or maybe a change in fortune. But unfortunately, this year for the Minotaurs, it has not been their year, and it looks at the moment now it can change. The season's not over yet. They still have 3 games left to turn this around. But it looks at the moment that it's going to be a little too big of an ask for them to survive this year.
Yeah, it is unfortunate that they need to win 2 out of the last 3, just with the way things stand at the moment. With a couple of teams there with a draw under their belt, they're going to need to win 2 of their last 3. And I don't have the fixture list in front of me, but by all accounts, they are not comfortable games to be going into. So yeah, it's going to be a
now if you like.
Yep, fire it
away. So the remaining games for the Minotaurs start with an away trip to UCD. They have an away trip to the Trojans, and then they finish at home to the Rebels.
Okay, that's somewhat unlucky. I can't see them winning 2 games out of that 3-game stretch. But weirder things have happened. The Minotaurs are always capable of putting in a big performance against anybody in this league. So we'll just have to see how it goes. It has been a tough old run for them, though, with maybe some of the fixtures not going their way, having drawn the Panthers twice. That's always tough to come up against. But yeah, they'll be kicking themselves that they didn't win this game, which was a real, as you said, relegation battle 6-pointer.
Yeah, I mean, I as you say, Brian, they'll be gutted. I think they acquitted themselves so well last year with their first season in the SBC. They were probably really hoping to build on it this year, but for one reason or another, it just hasn't happened for them. And as I said, the last 3 games are going to be really tough. So, look, you take what you can, and just you're focusing on next year, I think, at this stage.
And on the Viking side of things, like I mentioned, after that tough run to start the season, an absolutely huge victory. Now they only have 2 games left in the season, well, in the regular season, and that is a home and away games against the Knights. So a quick double header against them, which looks like it's going to determine maybe even who's going to play or who will get a bye. I think the way it is, the 5th place team is going to get a bye straight to the Shield final, and 6th and 7th will play each other to see who plays them. So, a chance for both the Knights and Vikings coming up now to sort of position themselves maybe to get a decent spot in the Shield.
Yeah, getting a win in SBC is no mean feat. So congratulations to the Vikings on it. They won't want to rest on their laurels either. As you said, they've got that double header against the Knights, who they're level with on points, although the Knights have a game in hand. But still, they'll think if they can. I mean, they're probably thinking like, we can get 2 wins here and pip the Admirals and get that 5th spot. They might even have their set on the 4th spot, but I don't know how likely that is. But again, everything's possible. I think that their double header against the Knights will be really interesting. It's sort of the behemoths on that line versus the diminutive but fantastic Finn O'Donovan. It'll be like Mario going up against Donkey Kong or something, but Mario often gets the win, so it'll be an interesting one. Like it's just
it's Mario up against 4 Bowsers.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be an interesting one to see how that matchup goes. But the Vikings are like they've absolutely done well in their first season back in the SBC, so they'll be looking to go as high as they possibly can, knowing that they're probably safe now. Play with the shackles off a bit more, try just get to some entertaining football that puts up points, and see how you go in the Shield, because again it's. We're really we're really hammering up on the Shield. The Shield games might be awful because nobody cares about them, but we really hammed them up here on this show. Big them up.
We care about them, Alex. It's
we
content.
Care about the
we
Shield.
care about them.
Yeah, come home with the Shield or on it for the Vikings. That's...
Yeah. We'll get a sponsorship for like the Division 1 Shield. It's the Under Center Shield or something like that. We'll call it. But a shout out then, obviously, to Evan Quigley as well with the Vikings, from your second favorite podcast host, obviously, because I think Fiona's his favorite. So a shout out from your second favorite podcast host to my second favorite Vikings cornerback. I don't even know who the other cornerback is, but I know he's my favorite. So Evan, fair play on the win there. But like I said, they have the Knights home and away coming up in the near future. But let's have a chat about this weekend's games. We'll stay in the Premier Division, seeing as that I have the graphics here and I'm not arse changing it around just yet. I have to start with the big one. Panthers at home to the Rebels on Sunday.
The
Absolutely
reason that
huge.
Fionn is not here because Coach O'Sullivan has him bound and gagged in his basement, so he can't say anything stupid.
Absolutely massive for the Panthers that they have their starting quarterback this week. Finn has deputized quite well to get those 5 wins this year, so now he goes back to his position of wide receiver. But all jokes aside, absolutely huge. This is kind of the scenario that you wanted. You wanted you say surprise. I will say surprise package, but I could bet you my house that Coach O'Sullivan would have said this is no surprise to him. He knew how good this team was coming into the year and what they were capable of. Starting so well, the unbeaten team with the champions, the wounded beast at times, Rebels coming into it, chasing them. It's the perfect scenario coming into this game that you want, and we should be in for an absolute classic at the sports campus this Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so. I want to see UCD Rebels game like we had in week 1. I want to see that kind of scoreline go up, and I think both of these teams are actually capable of doing that. Both have electric offenses, both have very good defenses too. We just need to see how it goes. It's going to be absolutely electric. The Panthers are going to be very fired up coming into that game. Huge confidence, unbeaten so far. They will definitely feel like they can knock off this Rebels team. But on the flip side of that, the Rebels are the Rebels. Ty Henry is a machine. He is the Terminator. He keeps coming for you. So, we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah. As Rian said, you kind of just have to wait for it to happen. There's not a huge amount to go into it. I think it will be just trading blows offensively. And yeah, it could come down to, as we've said for the last few years with UCD Rebels games, it could come down to just who has the ball last and can they convert.
Yeah, and look, I know we're chatting a lot about the high functioning offenses of both teams, but the defenses I want to speak about a little bit here, and I want to get your opinions on it because the Rebels defense the last few weeks, I think, have sort of an unsung hero for them in terms of, especially last week, they kept the Admirals to 8 points. Well, actually, they kept the Admirals to nothing. The Admirals scored on defense. And they have been a team this year that have been able to score points, so, they kept the Vikings to nothing. I know they gave up, was it 22 points to the Knights, but the Knights have shown that they're able to score on anyone. On the other side of things with the Panthers, they started quite well on defense. I look back, and their most recent game, of course, was against the Minotaurs. They conceded 34 points that day. Is there a little worry for you in that sense with, the defense conceding 34 against the Minotaurs and then coming up now against the Rebels offense? Are you a little worried for them in that sense?
For me, it's more of a motivation tool for them, I would imagine. Coach O'Sullivan out there generally tends to be able to spin things in a way that are very motivational for the team. So conceding as many points as they did in the previous game, that's going to spur them on to be even more dominant in this game. It's one of those things, like we talked about the offensive side of the ball previously on the podcast, where if they have an off day, the defense can help them out. Luckily enough, they have that race car offense there that helped them out in their previous game. So now it just means that the defense needs to step up to a level where they can make 1 or 2 stops more than they did in the previous game, and they're in with a shot here. So for me, if I'm a Panther, I'm not overly worried about the defensive performance in the last game. And I'm just looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Rian. I think it was the mother of all look-ahead games. I mean, you've got the Rebels coming up. You're 4-0. You've already beaten the Minotaurs this season. I think that maybe they just, mentally were thinking about the Rebels before they finished the Minotaurs game. And that Minotaur squad, I played them before, so I had plenty of tape and things to know to pick up on. So, maybe that all played into it. Yeah.
Okay. One other question then I want to ask, and Reem, we were actually talking about this off air, and we do obviously talk about the arrival of Matty in with the Panthers, and this is everything that we're hearing, and we're assuming that he's going to play on Sunday. In such a big game, Alex, would you have any reservations about putting Matty in straight away? Considering, I'm not saying he doesn't know the offense, because obviously they've had a couple of weeks to work on it, and I don't know how many sessions he's been at, and I don't know how well he knows the playbook. But are you confident in putting Matty in straight away against the Rebels in such a big game from the very start? Or would you maybe do a series here, series there with him, and keep Finn in at times as too, especially with Finn's threat with his feet, not just with his arms. And I know Matty has a bit of pace too, but not nowhere near the pace of Finn.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to make, look, they're the ones with all the information. They're going to make the call that they know is right. Like, because we're all saying Matty O'Mara, like, could all be smoke and mirrors. Come Sunday, we could be seeing Finn Cairns line up under centre. But
If I see Fionn
think,
in a Matty O'Mara type mullet wig, I
think it's not just the putting Maddie in a QB. You know, if you had another QB there, say maybe down, if you took the Admirals, for example, you got Jake Kennedy there developing away, playing his first season leading the charge. Say Stephen Hayes comes back, I can understand more question there. Like, oh, do you put Stephen Hayes back in? Do you let Jake develop more? If you put Matty O'Mara back in a QB, you're not only getting Matty O'Mara a QB, you're also getting Finn Cairns at wide receiver, and that's his position. It's like Brock Purdy coming back and Deebo Samuel was deputizing a QB. You're going to put, even if he had done well, you're going to put Brock Purdy back in because you get Deebo back at wide, you know. I think it's the juxtaposition there where you get two key, your best players at two positions are now playing the positions that they're meant to be playing. I wouldn't have too much fear. Matty, like, he's played abroad, he's got a professional mindset. We all know that. I don't think he's going to be taking this in a sort of nonchalant way and he'll be like, oh, sure, I'll need a few drives to warm up. I think he'll be ready to go from the first snap. I have no concerns.
Okay.
Yeah, just the only thing from my perspective is, speaking as a quarterback, the biggest thing for me going into every season, and I was coming out of a high turnover squad, so we'd have a lot of new players coming in and a lot of players leaving every single year. Coming into a new season, the most difficult thing to get right is the timing between yourself and the new players around you. So I don't know how many training sessions Matty O'Mara has gotten or will get before this Rebels game. But it is a tough thing to get that timing exactly right. Like, obviously it's easy enough to hand the ball off and it be fine, but getting it perfect where the timing is just right, that is a difficult task. So he's probably going to be learning a little bit on the fly in that game. But as Alex alluded to, this guy has bundles of talent, so he'll be all right.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Predictions, when you're coming in, you know, you got to learn. I'm sure, Brian, you got to learn the new guys' names. Do you think Matty knows Fionn's name yet?
Unlikely.
He's very probably forgettable. Knows him. Probably knows him. Are you that lad that does that podcast? You know, he's probably like thrown a 50-yard bomb over Fionn's head and probably told him, stick that up your podcast, training or something. You know, absolutely he has. And if he hasn't, I'm be very disappointed. Yeah, lads, predictions. Rain, I'll go with you first on this one. Who have you got?
Slightly biased, of course, given Fionn is playing in the game. So I am going to take the Panthers in a close one. No more than 3 points in it.
Okay. Alex?
Yeah, sort of going back and forth over this. I fancy the Panthers to win as well. But in Panthers, you know, I think it would be the ultimate Rebels thing for the Panthers to win now and then lose to them in a bowl game or in a semi-final or something. You know, and just have that man Ty, just, you know, the Terminator. They thought they'd killed him already and he comes back later on. So for narrative reasons, Panthers.
Yeah. Well, this game, it's huge ramifications in terms of seeding, like I said at the start, because it's the only time they're going to play each other. The head-to-head is going to obviously, it will be a factor, especially with both teams still to play UCD as well. The Rebels for the second time and the Panthers obviously for the first time. Two names that I haven't actually given enough I haven't given any time to, and really should, is the running back duo of Luke Carey and Connor Hoskins. They played so well so far this year. Either one or both of them are popping up with a touchdown every game. It's not just Finn's running ability that the Rebels are going to have to be wary of. Being that, though, I think I'm going to go with a Rebels victory. Just again, same like you, Rian. It's no more than a score in it. Now we could be totally wrong, and listen, one team could absolutely blow out the other team, and we'll be talking about it next week, and we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna go for I wouldn't be able to sit right if Airshow all went for a complete one-sided, everyone going for the Panthers against the Rebels.
Particularly considering Fionn is on the Panthers. We can't go
exactly
all in favor of Fionn. No way.
Ty, throw the ball towards Fionn. Let one of the Johnsons grab it. You're good.
He's only 4'0" Ty. He's vicious.
You'll see him. They're holding the chains.
Yeah. Can't play the toot. The toot's acting up again, lads. I have to go out. I'm gonna go with a Rebels victory on this one, just about. Moving on, then we only have a few minutes left, so I'll get through these last two games quickly. The Admirals at home to the Knights. Again, huge ramifications in this in terms of chasing that fourth playoff spot, or indeed getting decent seeding for the Shield. We're getting to that stage of the season now where seeding and placing is going to be so important. We've talked so much about how well the Knights have played this year. Their fourth quarter struggles, though, is the one thing that has stopped this season from going good to great. They have to go down to Cork, and the Admirals. They had a tough loss at home to the Trojans earlier on in the season, but they did have a victory against, I think it was the Minotaurs at home. They did. Not many teams go down to Cork and win. That's what I'm trying to say, especially with such a long trip for the lads. But you cannot talk about the Knights and not talk about that defensive line. And the fact that they're going to be chasing Jake Kennedy probably all day long. Jake at least can run. Jake can pass on the move. But I think I'm leaning towards the Admirals in this game. What do you think?
Yeah, as you said, it's a tough trip from Belfast to Cork. It's pretty horrendous hour. I'm sure they'll be leaving it in the morning. But both these teams still harbour playoff aspirations, so it's a massive game. Battle of two young QBs, looking to try and pip the Trojans to that title, or to the fourth spot there, the playoff spot. Yeah, I can really see this going either way. It's hard to go against the Admirals at home, but I'm gonna say that the Knights do it. I'll say the Knights make the long trip down and they grit themselves to. I think it's going to be a low scoring, close affair, but I think the Knights are gonna pivot.
Yeah, Rian. Just before you give your view, just a little side note. Liam Moores has played so well in his first season as the starter quarterback for the Knights. I know we were just talking about Jake Kennedy, who's also played very well. His favorite receivers being Dottie McShane and Marty Caskey. The one thing that Cork have done really well this season is their cornerback play and their DB play. So finding another way to win is going to be the thing that the Knights offense and Liam Moores are going to have to navigate.
Well, interestingly enough, I was actually going to bring this up essentially. So there's a couple of aspects that I'm looking at. It's the Cork defense being very good versus the pass, and then the Cork offense maybe not being as potent as it could be this season. And I think the key to exploiting both of those is in the run game. And the Knights do that very, very well. They have a big offensive line there. They're capable of opening up gaps, and they're going to just shorten this game down to a point where I agree with both of you. It's going to be quite low scoring, but I think the Knights are going to be relatively in control of it. I think they're going to win by maybe a score or 2 scores, but really make those Admirals sweat, kind of in terms of shortening that game, running the ball, 3 yards in a cloud of dust stuff. So yeah, I'm taking the Knights in this one.
Yeah, think about that for a sec there.
I was like, it's one of the Belfast teams trying to.
Who was I talking up again? Oh yeah, them. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so move on then to the last game of the weekend. That is the Dublin Rhinos at home in Castleknock against the Razorbacks. Obviously, the well-established reports of the Razorbacks and issues around head coaches leaving, players leaving now as well. It's just not the position that the team wanted to be in at this point in the year. They were losing at halftime against the Giants before the game was unfortunately called off due to the injury to Ryan Beckett. Good news, he's doing well. He was actually down at the Jets Rhinos game on Sunday watching the game, so he seems to be doing an awful lot better. I doubt he's going to be playing this week or maybe even for the season to make sure everything is cleared up and okay. But lads, I'll give it to you there first. What are your thoughts ahead of this game?
Well, for me, I think to be honest, it's another game where the Rhinos can run up the score. We saw Nate Wilson kind of dismantle that Razorbacks defense there early on in that game. He had 3 touchdown passes in the first half. And I think the Rhinos have a pretty potent offense as well, even though they haven't shown it so far this season outside of the game against the Jets. The offensive side of the ball on the Razorback side doesn't look too good either. They haven't scored many points outside of that Jets victory either. So for me, it only goes one way, and it's going to be the Runners all day.
Yeah, look, it's, as you say, I think it's 2 teams on opposite swings. The Rhinos are very much looking to swing upward now and, capitalize on their momentum from the Jets game. And the Razorbacks are on the downswing, obviously, with the turbulence within their own organization there. Obviously, unfortunately, some players, I believe, have departed, and Suntan, their head coach, is also departed. So they are in a sort of a period of sort of change and flux. There'll obviously be, I think, his other staff are taking over. They're not hiring in anyone immediately, and yeah, they'll just try and take control, get everyone back and focused on football, because that's the biggest thing when you're in a sort of period. Like, obviously, we went through not in quite the same circumstance, but we went through a head coaching change outside of the year, and the most important thing for the guys that come in after that to manage it is to get everyone focused on football and not about who's doing this, who's doing that, or saying this. It's all about not creating a power vacuum, just be getting in there, ensuring the lads that, look, this is what's happening right now, we're the coaches and we've got games to play, and try and finish out the season strong as best you can. And then you've got the off season to look, take care of getting in, a new permanent head coach and rebuilding your player base and getting things going again. But yeah, I think that's the most important thing. But I do think the Giants will take this one. Sorry, They're not playing in this game. I do think the Rhinos will take this one.
Pretty impressive for the Giants to win this game now.
I mean, as our friends in the domestic game said, Team of Destiny, maybe they will get a win from this game.
You never know. Just as well, Robbie Walker.
We have said anything can happen in football. Sorry to cut across there. We have said anything can happen in football.
Anything, and can that happen? Let's see. Robbie Walker is the new head coach of the Razorbacks. He's after taking over from Suntan. Sorry, Rian, I had to step out there, so I didn't know what you were talking about. I didn't hear what you were talking about there when you were previewing the game. I assume it was all
probably positive. For the best. Don't want to inflate your head as well.
I'll have to listen back now when we go off the air. But listen, we had a really productive game last week. what I'd like to see now is that to continue this week. I want to see the offense to continue. I want to see us running up and down going up and down the field on offense again, continuing where we left off and making it more finishing off drives. That was the huge thing that we did last week. That's the thing that we haven't really done previous to last week. Now we have to continue on, make sure it's not a one-time thing against a struggling team. That this has to be the standard now. That what we do where offensive drives. The defense, again, we don't have to really talk much about the defense. The defense have been the outstanding side of the football for us this year, as it has been for many years with the Rhinos. So they are definitely continuing that. It's, like I said, it's the offense that we get going. That's going to be the huge thing. And the fact that we've had 2 games at home, we've only scored 3 points is not great either. It's criminal. We have to make Castleknock a hard place to go to and play. We have to make sure that teams that want to go there and play, not just because of the pitch issues that many teams talk about when it comes to the Castleknock. It's about the team and about not wanting to play the Rhinos. And this is the next step in making it like that. And the next step, hopefully, fingers crossed, into going into the playoffs. But lads, I don't know if you gave your predictions on that game. I know Alex is going for a Giants win in this, but Rian, who have you got?
I've actually got the Rhinos in this one, the third team involved.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Perfect. Listen, that's where we're going to wrap up this edition of the show. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. We are sorry we took the week off last week, but we just couldn't make our schedules work. Happens, you know. We didn't miss a whole lot. We covered it this week, so it's all good. If you are watching this on YouTube, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video as well. So you are kept up to, and if you subscribe, I should say, you are kept up to date with all the latest videos we release. Comment underneath as well. And let us know who have you got this weekend to win. Who do you think is going to make the playoffs in both divisions as well? Because we're getting to that point now where we can actually clearly sort of see who's going to make it and who's not. Also, make sure you're following us on our socials at UnderCenterPod on Instagram, Twitter, and we keep everything up to date. Scores, fixtures, league table, stats. We'll do it all there. That's where you're going to see all the latest stuff. But lads, thank you so much.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure.
Hopefully we'll be back next week. Hopefully with Evan's favorite host back in the hosting seat. You never know. We might have to make do. Might have to make do with me again. But until next time, stay safe and